This episode has been brought to you by Skillshare. We all know pony cars. We all know muscle cars. These are the poster cars of the 1960s and 1970s commonly found in the boys' room. But father had a different poster hanging on the wall. A poster of an affordable upscale car with a vinyl roof and opera windows and a wood accent interior. A car with an exclusive sounding name, a Brougham. Welcome everyone to episode 37 of the Automotive History series, where I'm talking about a silent revolution that took place in the American auto industry during the 1960s and 70s, and had a greater impact on the automotive market than any special halo car or ultra-performance muscle car. Of a time when vinyl tops and chrome waterfall grills were the norm. Welcome everyone to the Great Brougham Epoch. Unfortunately, I cannot take credit for the name of this video. It has been coined, researched, and described over at Curbside Classics, a great automotive history website. Go check it out, links is in the description. But it's a great story nonetheless, one that touches on a lot of previous episodes I made earlier. This episode is a mix of a pinch of retro wave, a touch of personal luxury car, and a dash of malaise era with a slight whiff of pimpmobile. And now it's time to fully tell this story. This story begins around the start of the 1960s. Around this time, the American motorist was getting more and more acquainted to speed, power, and performance. This process already started in the late 40s with the many attempts of making a sports car, ultimately leading to the Chevrolet Corvette in 1953, followed by the Ford Thunderbird in 1955, and the luxurious muscle machine Chrysler 300 Leather series in the late 50s. Furthermore, fueled by a lively drag race and oval racing scene. By the start of the 1960s, the Ford Motor Company had the self-proclaimed Total Performance Era ad campaign going on. Look, it says so in the brochure. Ford created the GT40, gave old man Ferrari a good beating on the racetrack at Le Mans, sold performance versions of its passenger cars like the Ford Falcon Sprint and the Galaxy 7-liter, and don't even get me started on that other sports car made by Ford, the wildly successful Mustang. Performance was the name of the game throughout the 1960s, and the best was yet to come, the pony car and muscle car craze in the second half of the decade. But wasn't the performance theme eventually a dead-end road? How can you stand out if everyone is piling in on this theme at this point? These were some of the thoughts of one of Ford's executives at the time, Lee Iacocca. Lee reasoned that selling cars with an air of performance about them is great and all, but it does require expensive race programs to build up the credentials. So, is there a better and cheaper way to suck the most money out of the consumer pockets without spending so much time and energy at making expensive race cars and specially modified limited edition runs or normal passenger cars? What is pricey? Luxury? Could that be something? Nah, we already have the Mercury and Lincoln division to cover the upper middle class and luxury market segment. But what if? What if we take some of the standard features on those cars, like air conditioning, soft pillowy seats, and FM radio, along with some extra meaningless badging, and combine them into a nice luxury option package for our cheaper Fords, and charge a nice price for it? That could work. And it did. The Great Brougham Epoch was born. I used to make videos with very crude drawings by using paint, but come on now, who uses paint these days? I now use Photoshop, and thanks to the online classes on Skillshare, I finally know how to do it properly. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare can help you to make 2022 a year of new learning, growth, and connection through creativity. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring and creative classes for anyone who loves learning. Invest in yourself and your personal growth by getting a subscription for Skillshare. I'm currently watching the Great How-To Photoshop series made by Kat Coquillette. Thanks to this class, I got better at Photoshop, which improved my workflow, greatly benefiting my videos. Have a specific skill you're trying to learn? Skillshare is the perfect place to start. The first 1,000 of my viewers to sign up through my link in the description will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Ford released the package as an option for the Galaxie 500 model series for 1965. So get this, you had the Ford Galaxie 500, which was until then the top-of-the-line trim version, and now you could get the Galaxie 500 LTD, so the luxury edition of the luxury edition. LTD. Until this day, it is debated what it means. Some say Lincoln-type design, because the car takes over Lincoln design cues. Others say it's limited trim decor, and then there are people that say it's the abbreviation of limited, which I also deem the most likely. Ford persuaded prospective buyers with an ad campaign that did not stress its sporty qualities, but its comfort and luxury features. They compared it to a contemporary Rolls-Royce and stated it was quieter than a Rolls-Royce. Okay, you know what? Let's read the text for a moment. Let's pretend that I'm the average American in 1965, reading the newspaper and seeing this ad. Ford rides quieter than a Rolls-Royce. Oh, come on now, old boy. Yeah, that's the exact same thought I would have. Lots of people find it hard to believe. It's a fact. In tests by a leading acousto firm, okay. A 1965 Ford LTD with a 289 cubic inch V8 and Cruise-O-Matic rode quieter than a Rolls-Royce. This quiet does not mean Ford is a Rolls-Royce. Well, there you go. What's the deal then? But it does mean Ford is a strong, solidly built, designed to give you luxury, comfort and convenience. Okay, this line could have come straight from a Lincoln ad. I mean, I do not associate Ford in any way with luxury and comfort. They are built for, cheap, reliable transportation. What is this? Underneath that trim, functional body, it's all muscle. Okay, so you are stressing its performance intentions. So it's quiet, luxurious, but at the same time sporty. Okay. If you doubt Ford is everything we say it is, take a test drive and listen. Listen hard. It's a bit of an odd ad if you ask me, and this is exactly the problem with the Brougham package. It pretends to be a lot of things, but what is it exactly? It's quieter than a Rolls, but that's it, and that's not really hard to pull off. Put loads of sound deadening in your interior and everyone can pull this trick. But I digress. The Galaxie LTD became its very own model a year later in 1966, now known as the Ford LTD, a separate series alongside the Galaxie but was placed above it in terms of its pricing. This proved to be a popular move. By 1967, Ford sold some 23,000 Galaxie 500 XLs, the predecessor of the LTD, and the LTD was sold over 100,000 times, 4 times more. The young hotheads went for the sporty Fords, and fathers celebrated their raise at work by buying an LTD, which gave them a sense of luxury and being important. Rivaling car companies like General Motors and the Chrysler Corporation picked up on this new obscure market segment, and competing models quickly followed. But before we talk about those, let me make a quick sidestep. The LTD is regarded as the official car that launched the Great Brougham Epoch and the craze of luxury editions of lower-priced cars. However, there is one car company that predates the LTD, Pontiac. See, Pontiac was in similar position as Ford. Pontiac also experienced a total performance era by having its previously dull image turned around by introducing the wide track drive models, and also releasing arguably the very first muscle car, the GTO, in 1964. But Pontiac was the first with what could be regarded as the Brougham package. In 1964, 1 year before the Galaxie LTD, Pontiac released the Brougham package for the Bonneville, Pontiac's flagship model. So get this, you could get the Bonneville and now the Bonneville Brougham. What did you get with the Brougham package? A standard vinyl top, just about to get popular in those days, and an upgraded interior that borders on the more upscale Oldsmobile and Buick models. Suddenly, Pontiac had 2 smash hits, the loudmouth GTO and the quiet country club parking lot Bonneville Brougham. But before we continue, what is the Brougham package? You've heard the term before on my channel in many previous episodes, like Brougham-mobile or Broughamification. And why is it pronounced this way? Why not Brougham? Why do you skip about 3 letters? I'm not going to tell you the entire history of the brougham. To keep it short, a brougham is a type of carriage named after British statesman Lord Henry Brougham. And much like any other type of carriage, the name was carried over to the automobiles of the early 20th century, much like names such as Landau and limousine. Cadillac, for instance, offered the Cadillac Brougham in 1916. But fast forward to the 1960s and a cultural shift started to happen, which would slowly culminate in the 1970s. The shift from modernism and futurism to a focus on the days of yore, neoclassicism, Baroque, Art Nouveau, or as I like to call it, kitsch. And the cars of the late 1960s and 1970s also followed this pattern, as you have seen in many previous episodes before, like the gaudy pimpmobiles, the customized and stained shack vans, and the rise of the personal luxury car. The Brougham option package was the first step into this world for the car industry. But this is the look and feel of the Brougham package. But what is it exactly? In short, the Brougham edition was nothing more than a luxury option or trim package. From a consumer's point of view, you could upgrade your fairly basic car into a nice and semi-luxurious car at an affordable price, with some extra frills on it. It's the combo deal at a restaurant. You wanted the real deal, but you can only afford something that is close enough, but pretends to be a lot more. And pretending, that's the name of the game. And from a car maker's perspective, it's an easy, high-profit cash grab. You already have the stuff for the Brougham package available in your parts bin. You install equipment that is standard on your luxury division as a high-priced option on your lower-priced division. For example, think high-quality radio, air conditioning, a vinyl top, some nicer quality upholstery, wood accents, and on the outside, glue some extra badging on the C-pillar, hood and trunk, and off you go. Oh, and make sure that the badging and the name of the trim package is as meaningless as possible. Think Brougham, Custom, Special, Super, Supreme, Classic, Edition, Royal, Limited, Select, Signature, Salon, Deluxe, Collector, Landau, D'Elegance. Oh, and preferably a combination of these names, like Custom Deluxe, or Brougham D'Elegance, or Special Limited. No, seriously, what is so custom about a custom badge when it's glued on tens of thousands of vehicles a year? It starts to lose its exclusivity. And here is where it gets interesting. Before the advent of the Great Brougham Epoch, the American auto industry had carefully created a system of price levels for their cars, better known as the Sloan Ladder. The idea was to keep you in one of the big three's car families. You would start with a lowly Chevrolet and eventually work your way up to a shiny Cadillac. But with the Brougham package, things start to get murky. Now you could buy a luxury edition for your Chevrolet, which would put it far into Oldsmobile or even Buick territory. It disrupted the market so carefully created the last couple decades. And the question is, do you want this to happen within your portfolio? Do you want a lower price brand take away the sales of higher positioned brands? Do you want to take that risk? Oddly enough, it's easier to make a luxury version of a low-price car than a low-price version of a luxury car. The first improves the brand image. The latter destroys it. It's a minefield. And here is where it gets even more interesting. The concept behind the Brougham package borders on the human psyche. This concept is what I like to call middle class or affordable luxury. And can you hear the paradox in that? Luxury is not meant to be affordable. That's why it's luxury. Luxury is only for the happy few and automatically gives off a sense of pride and being important. You are the only one that can afford it, and people therefore look up to you. But with the Brougham package, this feeling was more accessible than ever. Why would you go for an expensive Lincoln when you can get a Ford LTD instead? It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough. And the majority of the middle class, that's enough. They love their affordable luxury, and this is the sweet spot where every car maker just wants to be in. A Brougham package with a price steep enough to make some nice cash and give a sense of importance for the buyer, but low enough to be still affordable. Ka-ching! Let's get back on the yellow brick road. The Ford LTD took the market not by storm, but silently found its way in the life of the average American. Many others quickly followed. General Motors already had the Pontiac Bonneville Brougham, but the true answer to the LTD was the Chevrolet Caprice, released as a separate top-of-the-line model in 1966, while being an option package on the Impala a year before, much the same way as the Ford LTD. The Chrysler Corporation also stepped in with the Plymouth VIP, and the legend goes it stood for Very Important Plymouth. And it follows the exact same recipe here, meaning a trim option in 65 and becoming a separate model in 66. Last of the bunch who could not fall behind was AMC. They had their flagship model, the Ambassador. And yes, this car also received its own deluxe trim package. By 1966, AMC offered the Ambassador DPL. By the 1970s, the Brougham package was virtually everywhere. Although no longer strictly an option package, many evolved to become separate top-of-the-line models, but all and everything was given the Brougham treatment at this point. I said it before and I'll say it again, if the 50s are all about design and the 60s about the raw horsepower, the 70s were all about luxury, and the Brougham package was the right fit. The lines were getting blurry. It seemed like everything was luxurious these days, and a great example was a comparison test done by car magazine Motor Trend to see what truly was the difference between a 1971 Chevrolet Caprice, the most luxurious of the low-priced, and a Cadillac Coupe de Ville, the lowest priced of the most luxurious. Was there any difference between these two? As it turned out, the Cadillac was the better option, but barely justified the $3,500 price gap. Only if you really wanted the little extra luxury trappings you didn't necessarily need it, but wanted simply because of the bragging rights, then yeah, the Caddy got you covered. But otherwise, you'd better be off with the Chevy Caprice, especially if you install the Cadillac equipment through an aftermarket body shop. Oof. Because of the gas crisis of 1973 and the emission and safety laws coming up, or, the malaise era, many American cars lost everything that made them popular in the first place, like horsepower, and were appropriately and inappropriately converted into semi-luxo barges wherever possible. Partly thanks to the success of the Brougham package, not to mention the influx of the personal luxury car, essentially a Brougham package with a unique exterior design. Don't believe me? Here are some examples. The Ford Mustang, America's icon when it comes to performance, gained the Grande Deluxe package in 1969.
Grande. Mustang Grande. Cool luxury counterpoint to the blazing Mach 1.
Giving the car a vinyl top, wood accents and door panel courtesy lights. Ooh. Its semi-luxurious sister, the Mercury Cougar, dropped its sporty credentials altogether and received the luxury pretensions instead in 1974. The Chrysler Corporation had abandoned their wide range of muscle cars due to the increasing gas prices and insurance rates. The Dodge Charger moved on from being a true-blooded muscle car into a personal luxury car with all the funky accoutrements you could ever wish for. Branded with such names as the SE, which stood for Special Edition, and had a vinyl top and opera windows. By the mid-70s, it was nothing but a rebadged Chrysler Cordoba. Over at the Plymouth division, it wasn't getting any better. The Plymouth Roadrunner went down the exact same way as the Charger, and so was the Satellite. General Motors also went full steam ahead into the Brougham era by applying the Brougham name to almost any model, like the Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme Brougham, the Pontiac Grand Prix Brougham, the Chevrolet Caprice Classic Brougham, and the Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham. Almost every American car model had a Brougham version, which had nothing to do with the original meaning of the name anymore. Everything had a vinyl top, opera windows, fake wood grain interior, and a shiny chrome grille, and plenty of nondescript badging all around the car. By the 1980s, the interest in Baroque and kitschy details started to fade slowly. Cars started to lose their upper windows, fake wood and chrome tombstone grills in favor of 80s beep boop technology and design, except for a few holdouts. Especially American luxury cars kept the Brougham theme going, like the Cadillac Brougham d'Elegance. Although I have a hard time finding any elegant angle on this car. This car lasted all the way until 1992. By then, the Brougham package as we know it was completely abandoned. Did the Great Brougham Epoch finally end? And it's only now I realized I've been saying epoch entirely wrong? Well, get over it. Maybe, but mind you, the concept behind the Brougham package is still very much alive, even to this very day. Let me explain. Today, cars come with option packages much in the same way they did back in the 1970s. You usually have a base trim version, a mid-level version, and a luxury version. But once again, the public focus has shifted from luxury back to performance again. I think you'll agree with me when I say that sportiness equals luxury these days. People are brainwashed by car companies that they should not get the luxury version, but the sports luxury version. Everyone wants an AMG Mercedes, or an RS Audi, an M-Series BMW, but many cannot afford this, but take great pride in more affordable models that look much like them but lack the power and sportiness. One of the most popular trim packages as of right now are the AMG line, M line, and S line packages for these luxury cars. They look sporty but are anything but sporty. But it pretends it to be, and for many middle-class folks, pretending is enough. It's the Great Brougham Epoch all over again. Nothing has changed. And then there is another thing. Whereas 10 years ago, luxury cars would trumpet their state-of-the-art technology like touchscreens and adaptive cruise control and lane assist, but today you can find this even on the most affordable economy cars. The gap between luxury cars and economy cars equipment-wise is closing in. What is premium these days? I think the whole premium car segment is an overcharged economy class. The premium segment is fading by luxury car makers offering cheaper versions of their cars and lower priced car makers stuffing their cars with even more features. Who knows? Maybe the Great Brougham Epoch should be renamed the Great Premium Epoch or the Great Sportline Epoch. Who knows?